What's the GCF of 16x to the 8th and 12x to the 5th? Let's see, 16 and 12. What goes into both of those? I think it's going to be 4. Let's try it. 4 and 3. Yep, so it's 4x. And then what's smaller? X to the 8th or x to the 5th? X to the 5th. Okay, that's it. All right. What does it mean to factor a binomial? To factor a binomial is the reverse distributive property that's the key. And it also means writing a binomial as a product. Okay? Reverse distributive property and writing a binomial as a product. All right? Those are the two main things that we're talking about when we say factor. So every time you hear factor, you're going to remember, all right, I'm going to do the reverse distributive property. Write a binomial as a product. Oops. All right, so now let's do an actual factoring problem. Okay? So step 1 is we're going to find the GCF. We actually did this one already. What's the GCF of 4x to the 5th and 16x to the 7th? Right? So 4 and 16, it's 4. And take the smaller x, x to the 5th. Now, what do you when you're distributing, because this is reverse distributive property, when you distribute, don't you multiply? So we're doing the opposite. What's the opposite of multiplying? The opposite of multiplying is dividing. So what we're going to do is divide our binomial by the GCF. So we're going to divide both of these by 4x to the 5th. Okay. Divide, what do you get? 1 plus 4x to the 2nd. This cancels to 1. 16 divided by 4 is 4. X to the 7th divided by x to the 5th is x squared. Now, this is not an equation, it's an expression. So you can't just magically divide. So what we're going to do is we're going to put parentheses around it. Remember, reverse distributive property. We want this to look like it's something you can distribute. So parentheses, and we're going to put the GCF on the outside. This is the answer. So we just wrote this binomial as a product, two things multiplying. All right. What are the steps to factor using GCF? Number 1, you have to find the GCF. Right? Number 2, what did we do next? Divide the polynomial by your GCF. Okay. And then number 3, put your answer in parentheses and put the GCF on the outside. All right. Those are the steps. Write them down. Find the GCF. We divide, and then take your answer, put it in parentheses, and put the GCF on the outside. All right. Number 9. Try it on your own. Pause the video. All right, step 1, we're finding the GCF. What goes into both 10x squared and 15x to the 3rd? So the GCF, 10 and 15 is 5, and then take the smaller x. X, what's smaller, 2 or 3? 2. So that's step 1. Step 2, divide. 10x squared plus 15x to the 3rd over 5x squared. Divide, what happens? 10 divided by 5 is 2. Remember, x squared over x squared cancels out. Plus 3, you get x to the 1st. Parentheses, GCF on the outside. You cannot just divide. I can't divide my age by 2. Oh, I'm 15 again, going back to school. Doesn't work. You divide, then you multiply. This is now written as a product. Next one. Number 10. This one is one that throws students off because it's so simple. Those easy ones tend to be the hardest. So we need the GCF here. All right. Do we have a GCF for numbers? Can you divide both of these by a number? Just one. And if it's just one, that's kind of boring. So then just look at the x's. What's smaller, x squared or x? X. The GCF here is just x. X squared minus 7x over x over x. X squared over x is x minus, these x's cancel, 7. Parentheses, x on the outside. It's so simple that it's confusing.